I stand beneath the pines of Hiram College. Hiram, and my heart feels like a cracked porcelain vase that has fallen in a dusty hallway. I arrive with the expectation of a bright future, like a child who watches the sunrise and believes it will never set. The sky is gray, and the stone walls whisper of old promises that were never fulfilled. I recall the day I entered the softball stadium. The grass was trimmed, but the air was heavy with the scent of stale popcorn and the faint odor of sweat that clung to the bleachers. The benches were made of old wood that splintered beneath the weight of strangers. When a splinter pierced my palm, I felt a tiny spark of pain that turned into a larger realization. A place that cannot afford proper seating does not care for the comfort of its visitors. The pain in my hand reminded me that the institution had failed to invest in basic safety, and that failure tells a story of misplaced priorities. It signals that money is being diverted away from the student experience and towards empty trophies. The fans at the game were not merely loud, they were hostile. Male voices rose in jeers that cut like knives. They shouted at the opposing players, their words a barrage of disrespect. When the coach, who also holds the title of athletic director, looked away and did not intervene, I saw a leader who chooses silence over protection. This silence is a betrayal because a leader is supposed to uphold sportsmanship, to create a safe environment, and to enforce the rules that were announced before the game. By allowing the harassment to continue, the coach taught the crowd that cruelty is acceptable, and that lesson seeps into the culture of the whole campus. Later, I walked the tiny campus, the paths winding through the woods in 15 minutes. The trees were beautiful, but the people I met were not. I approached a student for directions and was met with a stare that turned into an abrupt dismissal. A staff member at the information desk avoided my gaze and whispered to a colleague. Their rudeness was not a single incident, it was a pattern. When a visitor is treated with contempt, the feeling of alienation grows, and the institution appears to value exclusion over hospitality. This creates an environment where prospective students feel unwelcome and current students feel unseen. The dormitories revealed another layer of neglect. The rooms smelled of mildew, the walls bore stains, and the windows rattled in the wind as if they were about to fall. A leak dripped constantly from the ceiling, forming a small pond on the carpet. The presence of mold and water damage is not merely unsightly, it is hazardous to health. It can cause respiratory problems, allergic reactions, and a constant sense of dread. The administration's failure to repair these issues demonstrates a lack of care for basic human needs, turning a place of learning into a place of illness. I visited the dining hall and was greeted by a tray of food that looked like soggy cardboard. The soup was cold, the bread was stale, and the vegetables were limp and bruised. The taste was bland, the texture was mushy, and the smell was faintly sour. When a meal fails to satisfy the senses, it creates a feeling of disappointment that spreads to the mind. A student who cannot eat a decent meal will struggle to concentrate, will feel undervalued, and will question why the institution does not prioritize nourishment. Career services promised a bright future, yet the counselors showed me a list of jobs that did not match my interests. They spoke in monotone, their eyes never meeting mine, and they offered internships that paid nothing and required endless hours. When an institution promises employment and fails to deliver, it betrays the trust of its graduates. This betrayal leads to debt, frustration, and a loss of confidence in the value of the degree. The professors, whom I expected to be guides, often seemed unprepared. In a lecture I sat through, the instructor ambled on about topics that did not relate to the syllabus, stumbling over basic concepts. Their lack of preparation caused confusion among the students, wasted time, and diminished the credibility of the academic program. When educators do not master their material, the entire learning experience erodes, and the reputation of the college crumbles. Financial aid was presented as a lifeline, yet the promises made were broken. I was told that my tuition would be reduced, but the final bill arrived higher than expected. The discrepancy forced me to take out loans that will follow me for years. Businesses near Hiram College, Hiram, they are not always what they seem. Like, you think you are safe, but then something happens and you feel so stupid. I looked into scams here, and even though Hiram is small, bad things can still happen. One time, near Hiram College, there was this electronics store. Tourists would go in, thinking they got a good deal, but the items were fake or broken. The store would take their money and then refuse refunds. Like, how could you do that? These people just wanted to buy something nice, and now they are stuck with garbage. I bet they felt so angry, but what could they do? They were only here for 2 weeks, so they probably just left and never came back. The store? Maybe they got away with it, or maybe someone finally reported them. But who knows? Then there was this restaurant close to Hiram College, They would add extra charges to tourists' bills, like service fees that were never mentioned. People would pay without checking, and then later see they were scammed. It is so unfair. They just wanted to eat, not get tricked. I think some of them probably argued, but the staff would act like it was normal. The tourists, they had no time to fight, so they just paid and left. The restaurant probably kept doing it until someone really complained. And you know what else? Some stores near Hiram College, would sell fake souvenirs, like cheap things but priced like real ones. Tourists would buy them, thinking they got something special, but when they got home, they realized it was junk. It is so sad because they just wanted a memory, and instead they got scammed. The stores, they probably did not care. They knew these people would never come back. It is just depressing. You come to a nice place like Hiram College, and then people try to trick you. Why? Why can't they just be honest? But that is how it is sometimes. You have to be careful, even in small towns.
Businesses near Hiram College. Hiram feel like a practical joke, played on people who still believe in courtesy, value, and soap. If you arrive expecting the usual American promise of the customer is always right, the area answers with a shrug, a hidden surcharge, and in one memorable restroom, a mountain of human evidence that no one is coming to clean anything, ever. Let us begin with the only place most visitors spot first, the so-called premium outlet mall, Aurora Farms. The word premium here must be old Ohio slang for abandoned movie set. The parking lot looks like a post-apocalyptic food court, trash skating across asphalt, weeds high enough to hide a semester's worth of lost tuition, bins vomiting diapers and last year's masks. Inside, the corridors smell like a wet vacuum that gave up. A woman once opened a restroom stall and found what can only be described as a personal manifesto left on the back of the toilet management, promised to take care of it, which apparently meant waiting for the next customer to discover stage 2 of decomposition. Shoppers hoping for discounts discover that outlet now means regular price, smaller selection, angrier cashier. At the Clark shoe store, a lone employee sighed so hard the price tags fluttered when a student politely declined the shoebox. The worker flung the purchase across the counter like a relay baton of pure resentment. The lesson: if you drive 40 minutes for bargains, you will drive back 40 minutes poorer, with the same empty trunk and a new story about how hope dies under fluorescent light. Hungry, Volcano Steak Sushi sits 2 traffic lights away, glowing like a rescue flare that turns out to be another mirage. The menu dreams of hibachi fireworks reality, serves soup spoons decorated with a stranger's lipstick, and steak swimming in mystery broth. One couple paid $3 extra for fried rice, opened the takeout box at home, and found, poof, no rice at all. Only meat bobbing in brown water like survivors of a shipwreck. When they called, the manager refused refunds. offered a future plate of rice if they burned another half hour of gas, then asked, straight-faced, if they wanted to see his tax documents. Meanwhile, Tuesday regulars watch the sushi pieces shrink week by week. A magic trick performed by a cashier who greets every customer as though they owe her money from a previous life. At the grill, the chef squirts thin sauce that squirts right back off the dry chicken, and the noodles arrive with the personality of leftover spaghetti, forgotten in a college dorm microwave. If you complain, the staff remind you they do not fix. Food you dislike, they only correct wrong food. A philosophical distinction that tastes exactly like cold shrimp. Need a haircut before parents' weekend? Hiram House Salon Day Spa charges $28 for a basic trim. Campus convenience tax included. One student expected a warm escape from February wind. Instead, she lay shivering on a massage table, while the therapist offered a second blanket. As if blankets were the product being sold, the haircut was fine. But relaxation is difficult when your goosebumps spell out, "You paid for this." Perhaps you crave something sweet. The MORE Cafe, formerly Maggie S., displays donuts under glass like museum artifacts. A student watched an employee drop one icing side down, hesitate, then plop the floor donut into her bag. When she objected, the clerk rolled his eyes and grabbed the same dusty tongs for round two. The owner stayed hidden in the back office, presumably drafting the next chapter of how to lose repeat customers in one easy step. Even the town's upscale hideaway, Levi Lilacs Whiskey Room, practices the art of almost. The bourbon list reads like poetry. The service feels like a tax audit. Parties with reservations still wait an hour past their slot, while smaller, paler groups glide to table.